What is happiness? People have been trying to find an answer to this question for ages. What is happiness? Career, love, money. The list can be endless. You know, some people get really obsessed with this idea, I want to be happy right now, that there is even a new profession which appeared not so long ago. It's called the coach of happiness. You know, when the story happened to John Smith 100 years ago, there were no coaches of happiness. And John was young, quite successful businessman, married to really beautiful woman. She was tall, blonde hair, just like Iran, a woman every man dreams about. But John wasn't happy. Then he took all the books which were written about happiness at that time, sat down and read them all. But he wasn't happy. And he just didn't know what to do. But then he heard that in his town there was a wise man, and everyone who didn't know what to do with their life just went to this wise man and asked him for advice. So John went to this wise man, and he thought that when he sees this man, he will tell him everything about his problems, everything about his life, and will tell him how happy he wants to be. So he came to the wise man's house, and when the wise man saw him, he just said, "Hello, John. Come in. You probably want to know how to be happy. Come into my house. My wife is just about to make dinner." Then, in a few seconds, the wise man's wife came to his house, and John was surprised how shiny her eyes were when she was looking at her husband. She put her arm around his neck and said, "What would you like for dinner?" The wise man thought for a second and then said, "Dear, would you please bake us a pie? But you know, we have a very special guest today. This is John, and please take all the meat and cheese and vegetables we've been saving for our anniversary and put into this pie." The woman said, "Okay, dear," and she left. In an hour, she returned with a really beautiful pie, and it smelled so good that when John felt it, he realized how hungry he was, and he was ready to eat the whole pie. But the wise man said, "Honey, thank you for this pie. I know how much time and effort you have put to bake this pie. And now, please take it and give it to the poor people at the church. They will really appreciate all your efforts." "Okay, honey," the woman replied, and left with the pie. You see, John, that's how you become happy. Go home and ask your wife to bake a pie. Leaving the wise man's house, John was relieved and uplifted at the same time. He felt as he was flying. He thought, I'm going to come home, ask my wife to bake me a pie, and we're going to be happy. But when he arrived home, of course, his wife was not baking pie and not even cooking dinner for him. She was sitting on the couch, chatting with her girlfriend, discussing how stupid all men are, and just killing her time and saying how her husband, how he's stupid is, and stuff like that. But John, he didn't mind. He thought, I know how to be happy, and I'm going to be happy today. So he came up and said, "Honey, could you please bake me a pie?" "What? Don't you see I'm busy? We have enough food in the kitchen." But John was decided to be really happy today. So he came up to her again, determined, saying, "Honey, could you please bake me a pie? I really want this pie. Please, just bake me a pie." "Okay." So she went into the kitchen, and in an hour, she came back with something. She said, "Hey, John, you know, I didn't really feel like baking a pie, so I made these 2 cookies. Bon appetit, honey." John, remembering how to be happy, told her, "Honey, please, take these 2 cookies and give them to the poor people at the church. They will really appreciate all of your efforts." You can imagine what happened next. Are you insane? We do not even have enough money for ourselves, and I need a new dress. Take these 2 cookies. I've been slaving in the kitchen for an hour, and now take these 2 cookies and give them to the poor people at the church who will really appreciate all of my efforts. When will you appreciate all of my efforts? You don't love me. You don't love me anymore. The person who loved me would never say, take these 2 cookies and give them to the people at the church who will really appreciate all of my efforts. You have 5 minutes to disappear before I'm going to kill you. John was confused. That was not the reaction he expected to see from his wife. So he came back to the house of the wise man again and screamed, "What have you done?" I had a wife. I had a family. Well, we were not so happy, but we were together, and now she thinks that I don't love her. She's gonna leave me. I will never be happy again, and that's all because of you. You had to show me how to be happy. Poor John, the wise man said. I invited you into my house, and I showed you how to be happy. I showed you that the source of my happiness is my dear wife. And you, what do you do with your wife? You spend more time fighting with each other. You spend more time reading books than paying attention to your spouse. And your wife? She's just chatting with her girlfriends, discussing what a bad husband you are. You and your wife have chosen each other to be happy together. John thought. So should I find a new wife? Poor John, the wise man said. No, you have a wife, and you can be happy together if you want to. Have you ever wondered whether your wife is happy with you? Have you ever really tried to make her happy? Go home and be happy with your wife together every day. John was simply lost. He was going home not knowing what to do. His wife was angry at him, and this wise man, he told something unclear. And John was so desperate that on his way home he was just passing the market, and an old lady was selling red cherries. He glanced at those cherries, and they reminded him how he had just met his wife a few years ago in summer, and it was such a beautiful weather, and his wife really loved these black cherries, and for every date he brought some cherries and gave her those cherries, and it always made her smile. So he bought some cherries and went home. But when he arrived home, it was too late. The bags were already packed, and his wife was sleeping on the couch, alone. John felt distraught. He just left those cherries at his wife and went to sleep. The next morning, he woke up from the sweet kisses on his cheeks. His wife was hugging him and kissing him and telling how much she loved him and how much she really, really missed him. This morning, these 2 people stopped by his house. Dear friends, you know, when we go out to our work, we put on our best clothes to look really good. When we come back home, we put on our old pajamas, take off our makeup, and sometimes look really scary. We are very polite and tolerant with the people outside our home. But somehow our partners, our beloved parents, our children drive us crazy so much and so often. The question, what is happiness, is really easy to be answered. It's love. It's being able to love. It's being able to open your heart to others, to understand them, and to cherish them. In a month, a young man knocked on the door of John's house. He was desperate. He didn't know what to do. His family was falling apart, and he was not happy at all. John smiled to him and told him, "Come in, fellow. My wife is just about to make dinner." Madam Toastmaster.